I'm also a big LeBron guy, and I could just care less. You know, it's kind of like the Lewinsky scandal. I could care less, really. You know, I mean, really, I mean, I know I don't want to venture into politics, but it's just like, is this going to affect your ability to do the job? And like with LeBron, everybody, they just talk about the decision, and for some reason, that started to affect the way that people think about him within the context of the entire NBA. He's still the best player. He's still won a couple MVPs. He's made it to some finals with nobody else around him. He does it all. He passes the ball, rebounds. I mean, if he has a post game now, which he claims to have, I don't know what you can say. I mean, he's got to be the best. I mean, I can't even think. I mean, who Durant? Who else? Rose? I mean, Wade is the only one I think that gets even close to best player in the NBA status, I think.
Obviously, Dirk Nowitzki is very much in the discussion, and let's be honest, a lot of that, rightfully so, and clearly has to do with his performance in the playoffs last year. But you're right.
He's a top five guy, but he only does like one or two things. He does them really well, but only one or two things. Somebody like LeBron is just like, he's a point forward. I mean, he controls the ball. He calls the plays. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel like it's a hard argument to make that. I mean, because I just don't care about the off the court stuff, because he doesn't have nearly the kind of off the court stuff that like a Steven Jackson or like a Bynum has. You know, I mean, it's just the decision. That's the thing. And then of course, the Super Bowl type party that they threw at the beginning of last season. But all of this has nothing to do with the way that he plays basketball. If there was one thing that you wanted to say to me, anti-LeBron within the, you know, what I'm talking about, it would be the fourth quarter performances in the playoffs last year. That's the only thing you could really throw in my face.
And I think with LeBron, it's really only about the finals. And it's really only about the last couple of games in the finals. I mean, if you really go back and look at the rest of the playoffs, we were watching one of the very best players to ever play the game dismantle the Boston Celtics, dismantle the Chicago Bulls. I mean, that was great basketball at its best. And he had some bad performances in the finals that, you know, clearly you got to wonder, especially from a psychological standpoint, where's his head at? Why was this guy who looked like he was at the absolute apex of the universe in basketball in the first couple rounds of the playoffs, why was he shying away from the ball? Why was he passing off to not just Dwayne Wade, but players like Udonis Haslem and not even Chris Bosh, but just some of their, clearly fourth or fifth options when he's obviously the man on that team? That's what raised a lot of questions, but he still is the best. Here's what I'll say about the Heat, and I'll try to keep it concise. Before the season last year, I was the very first person to say I did not think that they were going to win the NBA title. I honestly didn't think that they were going to go to the finals last year. Of course they did, but they didn't win at all. Why? Because the one thing that matters probably more than anything in basketball, team chemistry. They didn't have that last year. It was impossible to have that. Now, this season, they're definitely my favorite to win the finals. 1 year of playing together makes an enormous difference. You can't, as we found out, and now it's hard to believe it's been over 7 years, but as we found out in the 2004 Olympics in Athens, it just got to the point where the U.S. Olympic team could not keep putting together, you know, the 12 most talented players and just expecting that was going to get it done. It did not get it done, and it got the bronze medal. Obviously, the U.S. Olympic team learned from that, but there's kind of a similar corollary to the Heat. You can't just put the two best players on the team in the league on the same team and just expect that instantly they're going to win it all. And clearly, that just wasn't going to happen, and it didn't. And I was actually very surprised for as many people who were just so blinded and so in love with all of the talent that they did not take that chemistry into account last year. This year, completely different story. And if they're going to be able to get the kind of production from the young guard Cole out of Cleveland State and some of their other role players like James Jones, boy, they really might make a run at an incredibly impressive season and also a championship.
Yeah, and well, you know, again, I think that we should probably table the Heat discussion for a bigger time, but there's a lot of pieces there. There's, you know, with Mario Chalmers is somebody you don't think about very much. Chris Bosh does not get enough credit for the things that he does out there and the things that he was doing in the playoffs last year, so I think you're probably right with that Heat prediction this year.